Greetings, Teen Titans Go fans. Now, a lot of people in the fan base have been saying that in the recent seasons, mainly I think season 6 and season 7 in particular, that the BB Rae content in the series is pretty much more or less died out, and that it's pretty much not so much a thing anymore. Obviously, if you can tell by the title of the video, I kind of somewhat disagree with that. In fact, apparently, like some people like on the wiki or like just some administrators or just even the crew of like Teen Titans Go, I believe themselves have like said that BB Rae isn't really dead. They just the characters have just became more comfortable with each other, which in my opinion means that the romance is still definitely there and it's still definitely more than anything evident. And again, like the rest of this video kind of shows that I think it is definitely evident in those seasons of season 6 and season 7. Now, I didn't do all of season 6 exactly because mainly because the wiki goes as far as like where in the globe is Carl San Pedro, like part 1. It does talk about the one that happens in the score all the way in the I think second to last episode of season 7. But like like the whole point of this video is there's a lot of moments between San Pedro part 1 and the score that happened in between there. Maybe not a lot, but definitely enough to say that there's definitely some evidence that there's still somewhat of a romance and a connection between the two of them in the series. Possibly even implying that there could be something later on happening in the 8th season or something. Who knows? But that being said, I figure I'll at least show you the scenes that I at least noticed. Now, mind you, I didn't get every scene that they've stood next to each other. I do definitely have moments of that, but I definitely try to make sure it actually made sense with the sense of the episode, other than the fact of them just being next to each other, because they are next to each other quite a number of times. And I do feel like it's worth saying that in the earlier seasons, like season 3 and season 4, when it became apparent and evident that they were being paired next to each other in animations, that was somewhat of, if not an actual big deal for a good while for the BB Rae fans. So the fact that I feel like it happens enough for it to not be mentioned because it's so common is in and of itself evidence that the BB Rae content or BB Rae as a whole isn't officially dead if they're still next to each other, to the point that it's almost not even worth mentioning every single time, because that'd be like, I feel like that'd almost be half the season of itself sometimes. But with that being said, let's get into the episodes, or at least the clips that I've noticed from San Pedro Part 1. Clip that everybody most recently noticed where she gets jealous. Here's the clip I noticed where like it's clearly Raven's vision of a Bollywood romance movie, and it's clearly the two of them. Yeah, she just imagines the two of them about to kiss on top of a mountain. And then, of course, in part 3 as well, you have the two of them next to each other on an explosion. Of course, they're next to each other here, but it's worth mentioning that they're next to each other here because of this moment where they get excited and say how cool the moment is and just kind of look at each other and both get corrected by Robin. And here they both talk about like how he's not going to find romance. He's going to find romance in love, not where he's trying to find. You know, that's another thing in part 3. Part 4 begins with them cricket fighting, and they both get distracted and jumps away like everybody else does. They both get angry at Alberto, and they both say, how about instead of making us guess, how about you say where we're not going? This Halloween scene I thought was worth bringing it up because here he is getting mad and she's not getting mad back. She's just kind of wondering why it's not working. And even to the point that he's even able to take the book, and again, she's not getting mad. She's just kind of trying to scroll along with him. I feel like it's worth mentioning that they could have paired anybody in this dance sequence together, but they decided to make Beast Boy and Raven on the butt together, as you know, just again making them together. Again, the writers or not really the writers, sorry, but the animators going through the time of drawing these two characters together. Just the fact that he got Raven's attention to say that it was to say that he thinks it's the buck that stole his girl, like Raven out of all the Titans, just for that sensitive romantic subject. This where Raven's just willingly to pick up Beast Boy to look for a magic hat, and they both get blasted along with Cyborg, and they get blasted next to each other where Cyborg's on the opposite side, where they get victorious, and they even have their own full-on fist bump with just the two of them as they get excited and look at each other. This is where he's singing about Raven in the shower, like how he's gonna be hers and take her home and everything. Here, like she mentions that Beast Boy's a Taurus. She mentions him first out of everybody, and out of everything she could have mentioned for a Taurus, because I feel like there's a lot of qualities, honestly. The two that she does mentions that he's lovable and charming, implying to me that's like her definitely implying that she definitely has feelings for him. Especially when you look like immediately after the same scene where he's trying to flirt with her and she doesn't really get phased at all. She just kind of has the same expression the entire time, even up to punching him. Honestly, not that a lot of abusive scenes where Raven's abusive to Beast Boy. I feel like that's one of the very few ones out of the entire seasons, because this is still season 6 where this is going on. Coming men out of the phone because of the horoscope. I included this scene because she calls herself Mama here. There he is making contact and putting his arm around her shoulder again. She's not really reacting to it, even winking at her, and she's still like kind of just processing it as normal. Even willing to go after he keeps begging and everything. Here she is. She's annoyed at first, and then she's excited when she genuinely asks him what he's going to wish for. And then him patting her down literally on the shoulder and calming her down, and then she's even apologetic about it a little bit afterwards. I mean, granted, it's worth noting the other Titans like Cyborg and Starfire do this as well, but I don't think they made contact like he did. I think Starfire did, but I'm not completely sure. And then how she's willing to apologize to everybody and like as a whole, and then to him like one-on-one, and even putting contact on him. And this is the BB Rae birthday episode, and then this episode right here, which I thought was just them agreeing on something again. And then here in I think I Am Chair, like she's lifting him up into a box of pizzas, and they're playing a game of monkey in the middle together. Like they're the ones on the edges with Starfire and the monkeys in the middle. And then that was like the last scene for season 6, and now season 7 starts with them running. Like she's running to him after they just won the dance competition. They both hug together, and they both hold hands afterwards. A little bit even after Starfire and Cyborg let go. They're talking about like the animations, but the fact they're again agreeing on something, like they do this a lot in both seasons. Like I think this is the first time for this season, but still. And again, he's trying to flirt with her, and here we go. This is the first time this season I think that she's actually abused. Here they are still together and everything, not liking the whole censorship and everything. And then this is like the one moment in the Space House like 4-parter where like he becomes like a Gollum-like character, and she kind of becomes like one of the members of the search party, and you can see that she kind of becomes a little bit concerned visually as well. Here's her like liking the idea of comic books now, and of course he calls her mom again, and as you can see, like she gets excited and her fingers kind of wiggle. And then here in the Tom Cruise episode, they're in the pool together, they're cleaning their cups together, and they're just being happy about their vacation. And in the same episode, after Robin's injuries, they're like making more puns, and then Raven of the pair actually triggers the high five that they both do. And then in the Polly and Tara episode, Raven starts the splashing that makes them both laugh along with Cyborg. And you can see that Beast Boy again in the same episode has his arms wrapped around her when they're afraid. And she's not really fazed by that, really more of like what's going on. Batman birthday gift episode, they get the party bus, and you can see them dancing together. They even have their own scene where they do it together, whereas everybody else kind of has their own individual scene. And then in What a Boy Wonders, in her story, she has herself depicted as a genie, and Beast Boy has the first gift that she tricks into getting, instead of getting a flying carpet, it's a magic van. But in that sense, she also like puts her arm around him, not the other way around. And that's another thing I've noticed. It's been more physical, like in terms of like putting her arms around him or putting her hands on him, more in the sense than he did in the earlier seasons, or just as much as he does it now. Again, it's more evident that they've become more open during these later seasons. And then in this one, in the Captain Cool episode, they both start fighting Robin together, and they're both kind of in sync and fighting him together, and they both kind of clash and win against him before the rest of the team kind of join in with their victory. that's the last one for the 2022 episodes until like, or 2021 episodes, sorry. And then the first one in 2022 that I noticed is the one in a Sweet Revenge episode. They're both seen as the customers where they both get excited for a free scoop. They both go along with Robin at first. And just kind of how like their facial expressions are the same. They're like identical and everything. Again, just showing more of like she's the one pushing him aside, getting him out of the way of Robin's business, and then they both go back into Cyborg and Starfire's gelato place, where again like their movements are the same, and it's just it looks like they're just moving as one person. It just looks like they could easily very much be in sync or a couple at this point. In the cliffhanger episode, we'll be right back. She's putting her arms around him, granted him and Starfire, but the fact that she's doing both him and Starfire is kind of interesting that she's willing to put his arms around him. And then in the Jump City Rock episode, which I think is like episode 48 or 49 at this point, I think 48. They're seen fighting together, and then Nanny gives this whole speech about love and everything with rock and roll. And it even shows like Nanny just talking to the two of them on their own before she says something about love. The three of them apologize before Raven and Beast Boy apologize to where Raven again is putting her hand on Beast Boy's hand, both of her hands actually, saying that they shouldn't have been fighting, and then they both have like a moment where they stare at each other lovingly, which I thought was kind of sweet and kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video. And then in the 50% chat, you have a moment that kind of reminds me of something that happened in the comic books very recently, where Raven gets injured during a battle in the streets. Beast Boy catches her. I think he was even in gorilla form then too. He looks at her like kind of like mournfully before he goes in rampage mode and attacks the thing that attacked her. And then, of course, in the next episode in the score, you have what is already on the wiki, but I felt like having it anyway, with their whole romance being unfolded in the score, where like he says he wants to talk, she's already willing to say, "What's the problem? I'm willing to talk." And like the thing that convinces me that the whole Aqualad romance thing isn't legit, like Robin's saying, that if you notice that Aqualad kind of looks confused during the whole transaction as well, like he's not like really. Like when she says they're not in love, she's not really depressed or anything. He just kind of has the same emotion that he had before that and after it. Even when he's willing to get his butt chopped off, Beast Boy is Aqualad's kind of just looking there confused, and it just kind of shows that yeah, just like okay, the whole butt story isn't true. Again, leaning into what Robin's saying, so it just kind of shows that it was just really them and their emotions getting tied up into the score. And even though their emotions are real, the whole story wasn't. Kind of like how in the April Fool's episode when they were fake proposing, what they were saying was true even though the proposal wasn't real. That's the moments I've noticed throughout all of seasons, or not all of season 6, but through most of season 6 and all of season 7. I don't know, hopefully if people of the wiki or people of BB Rae and Teen Titans Go see it, they kind of see that there is BB Rae, even though if it doesn't look like a lot, still in the season, still very much evident, still very much a thing. But yeah, anyway, hopefully that adds to the wiki more than anything. Hopefully that opens a lot of people's optimism for season 8. Although it's kind of pretty much in the writers and the animators of what they're gonna do for season 8. They could do no moments at all. They could do the ones they just did for season 6 and season 7. I do feel like we got a lot of decent amount of moments near the end of season 7. I'll say that much. That's basically my whole video. Thanks for watching, and I don't know, maybe I'll do this again for season 8, or maybe I'll do this again when season 8 does a major moment if it does. But yeah, this was fun. It was definitely worth watching like a whole season and a half of Teen Titans Go for this, and I guess I'll see you whatever next video is going to be. Have a good one.